David Rueff's vision for a more focused practice management solution is a multidisciplinary team that up until recently was quite fragmented. His legal process engineers are now a single point of contact for their clients inside the firm. Rueff is emphasizing the value of collecting, analyzing, and making data available to the firm's attorneys and their clients. This aspect is baked into the processes and tools they develop. Looking into the future, he sees data as a foundation for leveraging AI. There's simply no value to AI without data. Welcome to Law Firm Weekly. It's great to have you here. David Rueff is a shareholder in the Jackson office of Baker Donaldson and is also the firm's Chief Client Solutions Group Officer. In 2018, David was the architect of a new team that now includes legal project management, knowledge management, data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence applications automation and legal research. David, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Shai. I'm glad to be here. Look forward to talking to you.
Now, you must be a very, very busy person. I'm looking at the title and what it is that you're responsible for, and there's lots to do. But you know what? Before we get there, because there is a story there as well, there's two chapters in your history that are, I believe, of particular interest. One of them is that before you studied law and became a lawyer, you worked with technology. So your history, your baseline is technology, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that. And then another interesting chapter is where, and I believe you managed relief funds for up to 30,000 people. So can you tell us a little bit about each of those interesting chapters? And of course, if you can do it fairly quickly, because I really want to get to the present time and what it is that you're doing now.
Sure, glad to. So when I graduated from college, I had an opportunity to work for a technology company that specialized in developing hardware and software applications for the engineering industry. And my segment was in environmental engineering, and essentially we had an application that would help engineers characterize and develop remedial solutions for hazardous waste sites. And my role was to present the solution to engineers and then also help implement that solution once they purchased the application. And it involved, evaluating their data sources and getting them into the system. And it gave me an amazing foundation in not only technology platforms, but the interchange of data between systems and how challenging that can be. When Hurricane Katrina hit, myself and another shareholder at Baker Donaldson submitted a proposal to assist the state of Mississippi with that recovery effort. It involved processing applications for assistance for thousands of applicants across the state. And it involved an assembly line process of evaluating an applicant and identifying their eligibility and then providing the assistance. And it involved very defined processes as an application moved from audit or eligibility analysis to accountants to engineers to lawyers, and technology drove that. So my technology experience, those muscles finally were getting flexed again. As I was working in the disaster recovery context. And then after the completion of the Hurricane Katrina program, because that's such a niche specialty, had the opportunity to do that same thing in the states of Texas, Louisiana, and New York.
Jumping forward to 2018, I believe, and you were asked by your firm to rebuild and consolidate a number of disparate departments in the firm. What are those departments, even though the clue is in describing what it is that you do in the firm at the top of our conversation? And why did you feel that it was necessary to do it?
So the teams that we have consolidated consist of legal project management, pricing, which also encompasses a budgeting function, case management solutions, firm technology, our firm intranet, and some of the other resources that we provide through our firm intranet, our AI and machine learning solutions, as well as our research functions. Thompson, Westlaw Edge, and resources like that. We also oversee those. And I guess a year and a half ago, we kicked this team off, this consolidated team, and it was really based upon a realization that myself and my co-lead, Rick Krasminski, had about how these teams could function better. And so what Rick and I realized was that we could actually have a much more efficient and increase adoption if we consolidated these teams and actually reconfigured them so that we were more focused on client solutions and delivery of an end product for a client versus the type of technology or process that was facilitated by a particular team. The key is that an attorney doesn't need to worry about, do I need knowledge management? Do I need legal project management? Do I need a pricing specialist? Do I need AI? All they have to do is go to one of our designated legal process engineer for their department and say, here's my problem. And that legal process engineer will design the solution for them and draw upon our other team resources to implement.
In general terms, what were you planning on doing over the next couple of years, whatever it is that you can share, and to what extent the situation we're in kind of threw a curve at you and changed the balance of what it is that you'll be focusing on for the next 12 months and beyond?
There was a lot of reactive planning that happened right at the outset of this pandemic. We focused on some very specific projects and plugged people in to get those projects facilitated. But that was at the sacrifice of being able to kind of have this internal strategic goal of making sure this cross-training was happening, making sure that we were redefining our processes and evolving as a team so that we could perform better. And then as we're moving forward, one of the things that we're trying to do right now is really help look at technology solutions that are going to augment our lawyers' services. Our lawyers are going to provide the legal services that they have for years. We've just got to look at better ways to do it, faster ways to do it, cheaper ways to do it. And one of the big things I said a minute ago is that we need to look at solutions that are going to help augment our attorney services, as well as help us be better predictors of outcomes for our clients. And so those are two key areas that we're focused on over the next year.
Can you give us a clue on one or two initiatives that are more specific, that are more kind of detailed at this point, that you're kind of going, just a general maybe overview of one or two of them, examples, if you can?
Sure. So I'll tell you about one right now. We're working with one of our attorneys to help in the franchise area. And we had years ago that he had this concept of developing a franchise kit that would help franchise clients automate some of the services that we typically provided as lawyers. Not really replacing us, but taking those parts of the services that we provided that weren't truly legally driven, were really just process driven, and making that available in a solution. We're looking at other solutions like that for our various practice areas where we can take a component of what our lawyers do and offer those as a service. Another area is in capturing broader data about our engagements. This is very important, and we've seen the positive results of how collecting more data can make you a better lawyer. For example, we had an opportunity to be engaged in a new portfolio with a client. Rather than just diving in, like lawyers, myself included, do and start working on the representation, we took a step back. We looked at what our processes need to deliver the services for this portfolio. We identified what were the data points that would be important to our client out of this portfolio, and we designed a process to help our team capture those data points, as well as a workflow system to help them manage that work more efficiently. Within 3 months of working on that portfolio, we were able to present metrics to our client about trends we were seeing in the cases, about outcomes that we were seeing, about strategy changes that could potentially help them reduce costs in that portfolio. So those types of solutions, I think, are going to be key, where you're not just providing the legal service, you're providing additional value. You're giving them some perspective into what's happening at the trenches level so that they can make better decisions going forward, decisions that are actually going to help save them money in the long term.
My last question is about the whole issue of innovation, and clearly you are an innovation center. You are trying to find innovative solutions to issues and challenges and process efficiencies and so on and so forth. That being said, the buzz term in the last few years was AI. To what extent do you feel that there's enough technology that is applicable and practical nowadays to be implemented in law firms beyond periods of piloting and experimentation?
AI needs good data. And most law firms, their primary data source is time entries. And, in this project that I just described, we knew that in order to do better analytics of what was happening in our cases, we needed a broader set of data. So we're building the foundation, and I'm using that word because we are actually implementing a tool called Foundation, because we want to begin to lay the groundwork for AI in the future. We don't have AI requires good data. In order to be able to automate and look at patterns and things like that, you've got to have good information about what's happening in your cases. So we're using Foundation right now as a way to build a platform for that. I hope that answers your question.
It does, absolutely. And it makes so much sense that the approach you're taking is, I know it's a hackneyed term, holistic. For instance, you just kind of put your finger on it. Data is so critical if you want to have good AI. And obviously this is part of your job definition and your responsibility. So that makes so much sense. David, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for dropping by today. There's so much more to talk about, and I hope to have you back in the future.
It was a great conversation, Shai. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.